This weekend, Bungie is hosting the Marathon Server Slam, a free-to-access opportunity for players to come and try out Marathon prior to its release in just a few days. From the jump, Marathon just wasn't really something that I was personally very interested or invested in. The art style just wasn't very appealing to me, and I frankly don't really like the design of the characters. On top of that, I find this one song to be grating and dizzying. I don't think I lasted 30 seconds listening to this song without getting a headache. In fact, speaking of, let's turn this shit off. I'm sick of it. A common theme in a lot of the feedback that I've been reading online over the past day is that something about playing Marathon is just headache-inducing, even for the average person. It is slightly funny because there were so many people hyping up this art style that are now complaining online saying that the colors are far too vibrant for them to handle in realistic gameplay. Over a year ago, I made a video addressing Bungie's negligence and disregard for their disabled player base. The reason I bring this up so often is because it is of such great importance to me. My disability unfortunately impacts my life in a lot more ways than you may realize. My heart, of course, affects my energy, but also my oxygen supply, which causes blurred vision, dizziness, and other symptoms, which of course impact me while I'm gaming, as well as just living life. I also have autism, which brings its own joyous harmony of symptoms. I suffer a lot, is what I'm saying, and having access to different settings in games helps me have an easier time with them. The concerns I addressed in that video have yet to be resolved in Destiny, and seeing as both Destiny and Marathon are owned and run by the same company, Bungie, I now get to hold them accountable for outstanding issues in both titles, and boy do I have a lot to say. I experienced something while playing Marathon that seriously shook me for hours following my session, and resulted in me being forced to uninstall the game during the server slam. I simply deemed it unsafe to play and concluded that I could not recommend Marathon to anybody with photosensitivity, sensory, or other related medical concerns. Let me explain. Before I do though, I want to insert this. Bungie did reach out to me through the Marathon team Discord account. I started working on this video shortly after the incident occurred, but while doing so, I received that Discord message, and I decided to leave Bungie ample time to give me a proper response before I continued making this video. But it's been a few days now and I no longer anticipate a response, so I'm making this video anyway. I made sure to equip them with more than enough detail so that they had the best opportunity to understand the situation. I wanted to provide the exact text for clarity, but I understand that the format has changed now, so let me give you the short version verbally. They asked me for some data logs from my Marathon files, at first seemingly somehow interpreting what I encountered as a bug, although it wasn't. It was an intentionally designed feature. I first provided the team with context, breaking down the ins and outs of my conditions and providing them with my exact diagnoses. I first started by referring to my previous video, indicating that although it's old, a lot of what I discussed in depth there also related to the current state of their new game. I explained that I, in the company of many others, feel displeased with Bungie's recognition of our struggles, and shared that we're not satisfied with existing features across all games. I emphasized that many people resonated with the thoughts I shared in that video, and I invited the team to read my comments section, so that they could better understand the problems the disabled community was facing, and adapt moving forward based on our suggestions. I shared that gaming is an escape for myself and countless other players, and that accessibility assists a means to escape from our everyday struggles. And wrote, I hope that through my story and contributions we can begin expanding discussion and building toward true support in all Bungie titles. And now we get to the incident. I'm unsure whether or not to include the footage as not to disturb further people, but I'm also inclined to do so for reference in future if anything is to change with it. I just cannot emphasize enough how severe my reaction to this was the first time I saw it. In my personal experience, visuals haven't ever gotten to me this badly. I suffer regularly from an array of different sensory conditions, but historically, for me, it's always been sounds that were the culprit. I've witnessed my share of uncomfortable visual effects, but this is by far the worst. I've already gotten ableist comments over this complaint, and I do anticipate belittling comments and people minimizing the situation in response to this video. But to be quite honest, I'm seriously fucking glad I don't have epilepsy, because some may say that the most reaction I had from this was a panic attack. That's an oversimplification of what happened, but for the sake of understanding, that's what I experienced. Regardless of what happened to me, it exposed the fact that this is bad design. This is reckless, thoughtless, intentional design that did not take into consideration anybody that would have a problem with these type of effects. Pardon me for how harsh I'm being, but I take this shit very fucking seriously. And it is a damn shame that it does not appear that Bungie does. I love Bungie's games, but this recurring theme of negligence is not on. That's why I made that original video. That's why I started talking about it, because this is not okay for developers to be this careless when it comes to the safety of their players. I had no way of knowing that this attack was going to happen. I had no means of preventing it. As someone with a disability, the very first thing that I do when I open a game is I explore the settings and find what accessibility options I can activate in order to give myself an easier time. In the case of Marathon, during the server slam, there was no such a page. No accessibility whatsoever. There was, however, the bare minimum of colorblind settings as well as subtitle adjustments, but outside of that, I couldn't find anything that would help me. I could not not determine a way to make the visuals any more bearable. I would have liked to reference footage here and show you all of this, but I left this project suspended for too long, and now the server slam's concluded, so I can't go get you footage. I'm so sorry. And again, the reason that I waited is because I was reached out to by Bungie. I thought I was going to have a conversation and didn't end up having one. I did let them know that I was working on this video and invited them to comment or offer me any reassurance, but they didn't get back to me in time, so I cannot provide that for you. I also checked in just yesterday and I did not receive a response to that either. So yes, if you don't mind, I will be making a fuss. I'm frankly just appalled that effects such as this were not only approved, but left to last this long. Alpha, beta, all the prior tests, now for the server slam, and jarring effects like this are still present in-game. Some may argue that the server slam is early access, and that things may change prior to launch. But players were saying that since the alpha, and from what I can tell, between the alpha and the server slam, there isn't a whole lot of change. And with the official full launch of the game coming just 5 days post server slam, I'm flabbergasted. There was no way they were making that drastic of a change then. There's no way they're making this drastic of a change now. It's honestly just a pipe dream that Bungie's going to have fully fleshed out accessibility by launch. It's not happening. So Bungie, if you want to read your Discord DMs, I'd appreciate the chat. Everyone else, thanks for watching. If you want to see the effect, feast your eyes.